Que pasa, cabrón? Most guys have never been approached by a woman. Most guys don't even believe that it actually does happen. But I've been on both sides of the coin, and I can tell you that it in fact does happen, and the grass is definitely greener over on this side. My name is Blake, and I help young men transform their lives so they can find their future wives. So if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and follow me on Instagram, link in the description below. You can see we got some new goals up there finally for the month of July. Help me reach 300 subscribers, and you can check out my Looks Maxing course link in the description below. Trying to get 3 sales for this month. I already got 1. I was gonna make it 2 because I've already gotten 1 before, but then this month, right before I could make the goals, record this video, I got 1, so I upped it to 3. So we already got 1, so we just need 2 more for the month. So no pressure, but you can check it out, link in the description below. Because it's happening subconsciously, most people aren't even aware of what's known as the halo effect. This is where you get treated better just because you are more attractive than others. People will laugh at your jokes more, even if they're not that funny. People will just generally respect you more. They'll be nicer to you just right off the bat without you even saying anything, all because you are more attractive than other people. And this isn't really like a kind of shock when you really think about it, because you think like a fat kid in school is going to get bullied a lot more than the athletic kid in school, because that's just how it goes. And this is where the things like the 10-90 rule come into play, where 10% of men get 90% of women, if you've ever heard of that kind of expression before. And this is the one area that the black pillars are right in, because looks do in fact matter. This is the only reason that 10% of men are getting 90% of women, is because looks matter. It's just a fact. Now, you don't have to be the most attractive person in the world, but you have to be attractive enough to a woman in order to actually get her. A lot of people will make the argument like, oh, like all that stuff is so vain, like you just have to be yourself, and then she just has to love you for you, blah blah blah. But what's the point in not maximizing your attractiveness the best that you can possibly make it? I made a video about this before called Guy Pretty Privilege, talking about like the difference and how you get treated with women, because the dating market is very skewed nowadays, and most of the people on the internet are telling you not to even like try to improve yourself. They're just telling you like to just be yourself and stuff like that, even though that's not working. Now, obviously be yourself, be authentic to who you truly are, but who you truly are is not just like a guy that's out of shape, that's not working on himself, that's not taking care of himself. Because I promise you, when you make an effort to make yourself more attractive, you literally start living life on easy mode. It's like a video game. You start on level 1, everything's shit, you're like shit, you can't make it to the next level because you don't have the right like kind of armor to beat the next boss, right? So you start working on yourself, you start improving yourself in the game, and then you get new armor, and then all of a sudden now you can go fight this next boss and then make it to the next level. It's pretty much exactly like that. The more you improve yourself, the more attractive you become, the easier it's going to get. You're not going to have to try as hard. Literally, like some of the things you'll say won't even be as funny, but people will just, like, it's a weird thing about psychology. People will just laugh more at jokes that aren't even funny just because you are more attractive. They will take you more seriously. They will respect you more. Like, it'll make everything easier, not just in terms of dating, but just in terms of life in general. Because like again, using the fat kid and the in shape kid as an example, it's like, if you see a fat guy, like, he's not really taking care of himself, he doesn't like respect himself, he's not disciplined enough, versus if you see a guy that's in shape, he's at least willing to like discipline himself and do hard work, very hard work on himself in order to get to where he wants to be. But a lot of people on the internet will tell you have to be born like this, you have to be a certain genetics, you have to be born looking like a model, but this is just not the case whatsoever. I'm living proof of that. And this is because you're not limited by your genetics. All you really have to do is improve in the areas that you can control, and then I guarantee anybody can at least crack the top 10% of men. And then, like I said, the top 10% of men get 90% of women. That's really all you have to do, and you can do that no matter where your starting point is. Like the average person can get to a point where they're that attractive, and they're literally in the top 10%. You're gonna be able to do this just by focusing on the things that you actually can control, like your fashion, your physique, your hair, your skincare, all that good stuff, and a few other things, of course. But those are all things that you can control, that are in your control, that you can like improve on. A lot of this stuff is going to take time, but you can go ahead and start today and start improving on it. Just become more attractive today, because you will start getting approached. The more and more you work on this, the more and more you'll start to get approached by women you find more and more attractive. When this first happened to me, it was kind of like a limiting belief broken in my head, because that just does not happen to guys. And back then I didn't think it would ever happen to a guy like me. So I was kept improving on myself, and one day it just happened. I was like, whoa, this is actually some progress. Obviously, it gave me a confidence boost and an ego boost to keep going on this path. Then I ended up where I am in now. Now I have a loving girlfriend who, makes me stuff like this. Showed up to fight with this and surprised me with that. So it was pretty awesome. And I was able to do this by actually making myself more attractive and not listening to just all the people saying like, oh, this is where you're at, you're stuck here, like you're not gonna be attractive, you just have bad genetics, blah, blah, blah. I said, fuck that. I'm gonna keep working on myself anyways, and I'm gonna get what I want out of life, And so I kept doing that, and look at me now. I still have stuff to work on, but I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty handsome. My girl tells me all the time, dame un beso, mi novia hermosa. Mwah. So if you have anybody in your life that's telling you working on yourself and making yourself more attractive is just a waste of time, then you need to kick them out of your life immediately and just start literally subscribe so you can get like people like me and join our community where we're just pushing each other to be better versions of ourselves and to become more attractive, to literally save our lives so we don't end up like all the average Joes that are just like living sad lives and eventually kill themselves. Like young men are killing themselves over stuff like this. So don't be like that. Do something today. It doesn't matter how small. Like even if it's just like one push-up or something, just do something today to start working on yourself and start making yourself more attractive, because I promise you it will change your life. And if you don't know where to start with that, like I said, I do have my course. If you want to read about it and see what all it comes with, you can read about it, linked in the description below, because there's a lot of great tools on there, and I think it would be a phenomenal resource for you to use in order to maximize your attractiveness. But with that being said, remember, be better than you were yesterday.